Kylian Mbappe has thrown his toys out of the pram once again, and he is looking for another move. Is he a crybaby? Or a villain? Or is it PSG that's keeping him hostage and turning this diamond player into dust? If you haven't been living under a rock, then you'll know that Kylian Mbappe has decided to not take his player option on his contract to extend it beyond the 2023-2024 season. So as it stands, Kylian Mbappe will be a free agent come the end of the upcoming season. And obviously, if you're PSG, you're dealing with one of the best players in the world right now. So obviously, you don't want to let him leave for free. And that's the debacle that has been created. And people is calling Mbappe the villain, calling him a crybaby because he's thrown his toys out of the pram again. And it seems as though as he wants to move. But is he the bad guy in this story? Because he is this incredible player, that one of the best that we have seen since Ronaldo and Messi. And he is meant to be the heir to the throne that they are leaving behind. And his contemporary Erling Haaland, the one that he has been compared to for the last couple of years, has gone to Manchester City and the Premier League and put on an absolute show. 52 goals in 53 games, won the treble, won absolutely everything, and he's a superstar now. While Kylian Mbappe is rotting away in the Parc des Princes under the PSG name. He may have the money, but he seems like a player that wants way more than that. And it's a shame because, as I said, he is arguably, if not the best player on this planet currently. And he is most definitely the rightful heir to the throne that Ronaldo and Messi have left. You know, no matter how good Erling Haaland could be, he doesn't have the wow factor that Kylian Mbappe does. He doesn't make people get up out of their seats and just stare in awe. He is such an effervescent, beautifully flowing footballer. So isn't it unfair for him to be rotting away in a league that no one really cares about, and he only plays maybe 4 or 5 big games a year? I mean, if you really think about it, you only hear Kylian Mbappe's name when he goes and plays for France, or there's a big Champions League night for PSG. I mean, you don't hear about no random game where PSG are up against Bordeaux on a Friday night. It just doesn't happen. Whereas Erling Haaland, his contemporary, is playing against Arsenal, Chelsea, United, and all these big teams under the English banner. And the Premier League is the most global football league in the world, you know, partly due to the language. It's in English and it's easily accessible for almost everybody. And so now Erling Haaland is on one of the biggest the biggest stage in world football, and he gets to show off his talents. But Kylian Mbappe, who for sure is the better player, is left rotting away and continues to rot away. But most people would argue that Kylian Mbappe shot himself in the foot, and he put himself in this position where he's rotting away at PSG, because just last season he had the opportunity to go to Real Madrid, and it was almost completed. It was so close to being signed, sealed, and delivered. It seemed inevitable that he would be a Real Madrid player, but all of a sudden, the money was too much. The amount of money that was put up on the table, put up for offer, was irresistible for Mbappe, and he had to take it. And so many people looked at him as a fake footballer, as someone who didn't do it for the love of the game. He chose the money over the status and a stage of Real Madrid where he could do what he wants to do, try and become the best player of all time, show his greatness, and he deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. Yet we're here sitting saying that Mbappe's a crybaby and a villain, and this narrative keeps mounting. Every single situation that comes up, just continues to show that. I think what I'm trying to get at is that Kylian Mbappe deserves a chance. He deserves to be on a world stage. He's shown it time and time again for France, but he hasn't been able to show it from week in and week out with a big team on a huge stage, because he's rotting away at PSG. And it'll continue to be like that. PSG does not have the name. The French league does not have the name for him to showcase his talent. He is that type of player. He is in the upper echelon of players right now currently playing. And who's to say he can't, he deserves to be playing on this incredible stage and showcasing all his talents to new people and cementing his legacy on this game. Because he's almost wasted his years at PSG. He hasn't done well in the Champions League. The most they've ever gone to is a final where they lost 1-0 to Bayern. And every single year after that has been disappointment after disappointment. And considering that the Champions League is the only place where people really get to see Mbappe, is disappointing. Because he is a player that would turn everybody's eyes to the TV. Everybody stands up to his talents. But we just don't get to see it as often as we'd like to. I mean, nobody is going to go watch the French league. But I'll tell you what, if he's at Real Madrid, or he's at Man United, or he's at Chelsea, and you get to see him go against teams like Barcelona, or teams like City in a Manchester derby, or Arsenal, Tottenham, all these big teams, big games. The Premier League just has big games way more often. And he'd be on a stage where he'd finally get to be appreciated. I mean, just 6 months ago at the World Cup, everybody saw exactly that. He was put up on the pedestal again. And people on the world stage, he showcased his talents, and everybody took note and understood how great of a player he was. But after the World Cup died down, after France was eliminated to Argentina and Lionel Messi, it went back to normal. He went back to PSG, and he almost became irrelevant. And there goes Erling Haaland, his contemporary, winning a treble. I mean, if you're in Mbappe's position, what do you really do? It's easy to tell that he isn't. I mean, sure, the money is a thing. Maybe he is in it for the money, but that's a lot of money to turn down. That PSG deal was surely a much bigger bag than whatever Real Madrid was offering. And, obviously, if you're talking in the aspect of the love of the game, yeah, Real Madrid would have been the better option. But, he's got to look after himself as well. And I think now he's finally decided, I can't do this. I can't do this at PSG. I can't be the player I want to be at PSG. Because he'll never get recognized for it. And so if you were in Mbappe's position, I mean, the only thing you can do is really throw your toys out the pram. He has to move on. And maybe it's not in the way that we all envisioned, because we're used to Messi and Ronaldo. These two never complained. They did their jobs and they just got to work. And that's exactly why they were on top of the world for 19 to 20 years and even still are. Ronaldo's saga only came in the last 2 or 3 years with United. But Mbappe has been through drama and sagas and, controversial topics throughout his whole career. But that's also tied to the new age of social media. Ronaldo and Messi didn't really have to go through that until the latter part of their careers, where they were already chalked up to be the greatest of all time. And so they were kind of seen as gods, basically. But Mbappe isn't on that level, and he won't ever be on that level if he stays at PSG. And as I keep saying, it's just so disappointing to see such a good player not getting the recognition that he deserves, or even the eyeballs that he deserves. I mean, look, if he went to a United or a Real Madrid and failed, so be it. That's it. He's not meant to, be a GOAT or one of the best players of all time. But if he, at least given a chance, He deserves a chance to at least showcase that and showcase his ability. And so this whole saga with Kylian Mbappe has to come to an end at some point. And I think that's exactly why he's choosing to not extend that contract. He's choosing to throw his toys out the pram. This time a little bit more professional, to be fair to him. But he's still doing it. I mean, it's unarguable. It's easy to see what he's doing. He's putting an ultimatum out for PSG. And it's not the, most professional thing to do. But he has to do it. And I don't see how Mbappe can thrive in PSG anymore. I think that chapter is closed. And every single game he spends longer at PSG is another game where he's wasting his chance. He is wasting an opportunity to showcase his talent and showcase why he may be the greatest player of all time. I mean, he already has a World Cup final appearance where he has a hat-trick. But that's all he really has to his name in terms of accolades. I mean, the PSG has won 5 or 6 French leagues, but isn't really all that. When you look back at someone's career, you're not going to say, if you look back at his career, you aren't going to say, wow, 5 French leagues. But I'll tell you what will look good: 3 La Ligas, or 3 Premier Leagues, 4 Premier Leagues, 2 Champions Leagues. I mean, that's what it would take for him to even be put in the same breath as Messi and Ronaldo. And I think the fact that Erling Haaland is doing it at Manchester City right now, and he's scoring the goals and he's showcasing all that talent, I think that's almost made Mbappe a little jealous. I mean, that's his contemporary right there. That's the guy who he's compared to. And I'm sure that lit a competitive fire in him. Like, he wants to be that. That's who he wanted to be. That's the persona that he wanted to show off. But he wasn't able to. And now, I think we'll finally, hopefully, he makes the move and PSG sell him for some incredible fee to a team on the world stage that's playing big games week in, week out, unlike PSG, where he's rotting away with each and every game. And finally, we can see maybe another good debate between Haaland and Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe is not a villain. He's just taking his steps to cement himself as one of the greatest players that this game has ever seen.